Hey, this is Grant with Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we're going to take a look at the Kiss off the Soundboard recordings. We're going to have a panel discussion and review, and we'll be taking a look at the Donington show from August 17th, 1996, the Tokyo Dome show from March 13th, 2001, Virginia Beach, July 25th, 2004. I'll tell you, this is going to be something, so get ready. But in the meantime, let's look at some things that are coming up this week on the channel. Todd Evans and I are going to be looking at the band Guadalcanal Diary. This was a Georgia band from back in the 80s, put out 4 great albums. They don't get a lot of love today, but they're going to get a lot of love here on this channel. And also, April Wine, Animal Grace, and Walking Through Fire. This is part of the series of April Wine shows we've been doing, and it should be quite interesting because Walking Through Fire is a little questionable, if you ask me. Cheap Trick. Ryan Gavalier and I are continuing our series with Cheap Trick with All Shook Up and One-on-One. Same thing we've done before. We'll do a general album review or just talk the talk of Cheap Trick. I'll just leave it at that. And also, Todd Evans and I have a Matthew Sweet episode coming up, 100% Fun and Blue Sky on Mars. That should be incredible, you know. Anytime you have Todd here, you know it's going to be a good show. Check this out, Kiss Bootlegs with Marco and Bret. This was a wonderful episode, even though it kind of got hijacked at the end. It's highly entertaining, and if you love Kiss Bootlegs, this is the show for you. Todd Evans and Bicycle Legs and I did a show on They Might Be Giants that was recently uploaded. We kind of looked at the band's whole career and just kind of, well, you know what we do on this channel. Also on the Contrarians, Martin, Marco, Todd, and myself got together and we discussed The Doors. This was a great episode. It was a lot of fun, and I just can't believe how contrarian Todd Evans can get. I don't know when this is going to air, but please stay tuned. Please subscribe and check out the Contrarians. In the meantime, let's get to Kiss. Gentlemen, welcome to the Rock Warehouse. Oh, look at John. I want to welcome Ryan Gavalier, Brett Peters, and John Clauser to the show. Now, if you paid attention to the intro, you know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Off the Soundboard. And, of course, they've had 3 different discs or LPs, depending on what you've bought. But we're going to look at the Live in Virginia Beach CD from July 25th, 2004. Tokyo 2001, which is actually, this is actually a cool show because this is Paul and Gene with Ace Frehley and Eric Singer, which you have to admit, that is kind of cool. And we're looking at the Donington show, which is Paul, Gene, Ace, and Peter Criss, which this is like golden era stuff. So anyway, so I figured this would be a great show so we could talk about it. Kind of, I don't know, do like a general discussion. Let me get my notes out over here. So how is everybody tonight?
Rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling.
Fantastic.
I'm assuming you're ready to talk some Kiss. I mean, who isn't?
Yeah.
All right. Well, pretty much, like I said, first of all, let's just open it up and we'll just kind of go around and talk. What do you guys think of this series? I know Pearl Jam did something like this back in the day, and for some reason, Ryan is very smiley. I don't know what's happening underneath the table. Something could be happening. I don't know, but he's very smiley. But I know that Pearl Jam did something like this back in the, 10 years ago, where they put out a mass
like almost every
release
show from the tour or something.
Like every show from the tour. What do you guys think of well, first of all, what do you think of Kiss doing something like this?
Well,
I don't know.
So I'm going to start this off like this.
Oh, goodness. Look, here we go.
I think that these mostly sound like absolute crap. But
Wait a minute. But you're saying, all right, there's 2 different things. You can look at it from an audio file or from a sound quality perspective, but you can also look at it like the band sounds like shit.
the band
I think it's
shit.
Because actually, from my perspective, I think these board recordings actually sound pretty good.
Oh, they
I
sound
think.
fine, but the band is a whole other story.
Okay.
All right, so musically it's not bad actually, but vocally, holy shnikes, like, geez Louise, it's
Well,
a mess.
Peter Criss's vocals sound good. I'll give you that.
And so do Ace's.
And Ace sounds like Ace. Of course, Ace
Gene-
can't sing that well, but you know what I mean. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. We can look at this two different ways. Does this sound like Kiss Alive? No, it does not. What this does is give us a much more accurate portrayal of what the band sounds like in certain periods of time.
Right.
So in some ways, this is a pretty fascinating little collection of albums because, yeah, we don't get the most polished, good-sounding Kiss. Actually, it sounds pretty embarrassing a lot of the time. But it's honestly one of the most honest live albums I've ever heard because it does sound this embarrassing. It was kind of a bold move for Kiss, honestly, to put something like this out, especially for Paul Stanley because he sounds atrocious almost the whole way through. And
Well, okay.
yeah, there's moments where
As
he
we go
sounds-
through time, he sounds worse, but I wouldn't say that he sounds so bad from the Donington set. I think he sounds okay. I think
sounds
Gene
okay.
sounds worse on that set.
He sounds okay on Donington.
Okay.
A little worse on Tokyo, and absolutely terrible on Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
But on all of them, we do hear him, his stage antics pretty unadulterated, and I think a lot of the times they're extremely silly. So that's another thing that we get on this is him saying a city's name 10 times after one song gets played.
Yeah.
You get him trying to sound like Aretha Franklin singing the song title of the next song.
Brett's making notes, I think.
I go seconds. Like, you know, we get that kind of stuff. We get all kinds of goofy stuff with this. So it's very honest. It really actually feels like you're at a Kiss concert. I actually think that Gene is interesting because, yes, Gene sounds off his game, but there's one thing about Gene that I will say about him. He knows his limits vocally. And so therefore, the songs work out better. It seems like every year that Paul's voice gets worse, he thinks he's a better singer than he was before because he's trying more stupid stuff, even though his voice is not there for it. So that's something that we get on here where Gene, he knows exactly what to do. And I think a lot of the Gene songs sound fantastic on these albums just for that reason. And some of the Paul songs sound great too. I won't go too deep into that now in case you ask about specific songs that we like. But
Well, we'll get to that, Ryan. You're all right. Just go ahead. You're good.
But I will say these are hard to listen to because they're like 2 hours apiece. You do have a lot of Paul yelling at you the entire time. You have like unrelentingly yelling. But like I said, it's interesting though to me because the band does sound really good. The guitar sounds on this album are pretty fantastic. Or on these albums, it's, the whole band's driving. Like there's actually an energy. I really feel like I'm live listening to Kiss. It's not doctored up like Kiss Alive and Kiss Alive 2. This is the real deal here. So it's interesting for that reason. It's very flawed, but it's as flawed as you would expect Kiss to sound in 2004 because, I mean, they weren't in their A game anymore.
Yeah.
So while I think it's bad, I like it because it's honest. It's better than some like studio doctored up. Oh, Paul still sounds like he did in 1975, even though it's 2004. I respect them for putting this out because it's one of the most honest things I've seen musically. It's raw. It's well recorded. You just have to get through a lot of kind of cringy moments.
Well, I will. Okay, I totally get you. I'm just going to add this. It makes you appreciate the editing that was done to Alive and Alive 2. But as an archival and to take a snippet in time,
Oh, it's amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've
but
never
it-
seen something this good come out before in terms of giving you an honest look of a band at a certain point in time.
And I'm so surprised that they would let their guard down to release something like this with all the warts and all the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean, Brett. I'm just saying, you know how Kiss is. They have like a facade. Now, I saw them in '98 on the tour. And of course, you know, you're in a situation where it's live. You know, you're going through a PA system, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean. You've got room ambience. It's really hard to really hear the intricacies like you do on these. You know what I mean? But in '98, I'm going to say I could close my eyes and I swear to God, I was like a kid again because they sounded fabulous. And like, I think that whole concert from, you know, the Donington show, I think they were on fire right here. I do.
Most of it. There's
I mean, there's always something. Don't forget, they're taking a snapshot of a show. You know, look at Alive and Alive 2. Well, they were all from different shows, right? They weren't all from the one. Alive 2 wasn't from the one venue, was it?
No.
Well, you know, I'm just going to give them props. The fact that they put this out, warts and all.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
I'm looking forward to the next one, but I'll tell you that the last one, and what year was that? 2004. Ooh, ow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go around. Brett, what? Ryan, you have anything else to say? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that Donington is generally really good. I think that Tokyo is decent in terms of the quality of how the band sounds, and then Virginia Beach is a real mixed bag. Some of it sounds pretty good, some of it's awful. And that's where I'll just say generally right now. I'm sure we'll talk more in depth.
Oh well. Oh yeah, we'll get into it, Ryan. So Brett, what are your general thoughts? You know, much like what Ryan was talking about.
I'll agree when he said, 2004, they really weren't on their A game anymore. I think 2004 was kind of the beginning of the decline for Paul's voice. I listened to some songs off of that, particularly like a song like Heaven's on Fire, and it just doesn't sound good. Or
Love Gun. Holy mackerel.
Oh,
that's one song he should retire. And I'm not, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're talking 2004.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Well, I saw that one show that they did over the internet. You know, it was
the thing that, like, the Virginia Beach show, I actually already had a professionally recorded, released version of it. That was the Rock the Nation tour with Poison, and I don't know if anyone remembers this, but that was the first tour where they started offering CDs of the show immediately after you left. Like, you paid like an extra $20,
right?
And then you'd leave and they'd give you like a digital download code and a CD. And so, like, I saw that tour. It wasn't really anything special for me, and they sound good musically, but it's just it's Paul. It doesn't really do anything for me. The Donington show, I understand the significance of it. It was the first time, the original lineup played Donington. But, and I'm sure if Marco was here, he could attest to this. There are just so many other better shows from that reunion tour from '96 that they could have released. The one thing, like, I think...
Look at John. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
I have mine, but it doesn't fit me anymore. There's, like, holes in the armpits and everything like that. Gene didn't sound that good on the Donington show. I think I don't know if like he was sick or something like that, but that kind of took it away from me. And they just, it's Ace Frehley is considered one of the greatest, sloppiest guitar players of all time. And it's definitely evident in that '96 performance, but I actually think he sounds a bit better in the 2001 performance. And I think the one thing that definitely helps the 2001 performance is Eric Singer on drums. Like, all you have to do is just go back and listen to the original Alive 4, which is the Millennium concert, and Peters is playing at a snail's pace. And the one thing that I do miss listening to the Tokyo show and the Virginia Beach show is that Eric had so much life in his drumming. Like, it just, I can't explain it, but like if you listen to his playing now, it's just so flat. Like there's no life to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a drummer, and like these are things that like I notice and everything like that. But you listen to those, and it's just his playing is so enthusiastic.
Hmm. I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know. I didn't really notice so much Ace being more. Well, it would make sense because think about it. If that was 96, and then you're looking at it, and we're jumping to, 2001. Ace has been out on the road a lot, playing a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you're not playing at all, your chops just go to hell. But he's playing all the time. But for a guy that's not really playing that much, I think that 96 show, I'll take it.
No, he does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm not saying he sounds bad on the '96 show. It's just that was the one thing. Like you watch a lot of the '96. Like there's so many bootlegs out there, and there's so many performances that you could find. And he's sloppy, but like I said, like I kind of mean that as a compliment. Like it's just in his swagger and the way he plays. He's the world's greatest, sloppiest guitar player.
He's not Jimmy Page sloppy, let's say that.
No.
All his guitar lines are very well worked out. And if you listen to this, think about it. In 96, when he probably hadn't played this stuff for a long time, he just goes right back right into it. Got all the same licks. He's got that Ace Frehley tone.
Swagger to his playing.
Swagger to his playing. He adds personality to the band, because, you look at Tommy Thayer, he's just pretty much meat and potatoes. Yeah. He has no real sound. He could be anybody. But once you hear Ace Frehley play, you know who it is. I'm just saying. He's the man.
And the one cool thing about the Tokyo show is that they played Talk to Me, and that was the first time they had played the show. That's the first time they'd played that song since 1980. December of 1980.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good version, too.
They played to 41,000 people at that Tokyo Dome show.
Can you imagine? Holy mackerel, that would have been incredible.
Yeah. It was a sold out.
Talk to Me. And I Love It Loud's good on here. Yeah.
Oh, and then the one cool thing about the Virginia Beach show is that for that Rock the Nation tour, they did like different deep cuts. I kind of use that term loosely. And I was trying to remember like what song they played at that Virginia Beach show that I didn't hear at the show that I went to, and I'm almost certain it was Tears Are Falling. And I think like at my show we got like Love Her All I Can or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Very good.
And just one last thing,
go ahead, you're good.
The Let Me Go Rock and Roll performance that the single that they just released for the upcoming
77.
It sounds like I really hope they do some work to it because it just sounds like a really bad audio quality. Like I downloaded a song off of like a poorly put up video on YouTube. Hopefully they can do some studio magic to kind of make it sound a little bit more cleaner.
The studio magic like they did to the Destroyer Box Paris show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If I'm spending, I know I'm jumping the rails, and I've said this before. I love the Destroyer Box. I think all the goodies that come in it, I think it's really well done. I think if people could look at that Destroyer Box set and go, hey, this is a good example of how a box set should be. I think it's a fine box set. But if people are spending $200 for this, you could give us a soundboard recording. There has to be a Paris soundboard recording out somewhere.
Yeah.
And at least give us another show from 1976. I mean, the show we did with Marco, there's crap loads of stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
And Gene Simmons was recording everything he could possibly record.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got that 76 show from a fan. Like, I think they had put like I think they had put something out saying like, hey, if you have anything, like send it to us. We're like trying to accumulate stuff for this box set and everything like that.
I'm just surprised. You would think Mark from
Three Sides.
Three Sides could have. He probably has something even better.
I know, with the amount of like bootlegs that they talk about having and everything like that, but
right. Well, interesting. John, what's your general thoughts about the whole thing?
When I first heard these were coming out, honestly, I didn't have any interest in them. I don't know. I saw this tour in '96. I saw them, the first night in Philly, and I thought it was a fantastic show. Saw it again in Baltimore, second leg of the tour. It was a slight change to the set list, and I thought that show was great. And I've never seen them since. But so my favorite was definitely the Donington show, because it was the original four, and the feel and the swagger that you needed for some of those songs, only the original four can pull it off. To me. So it was just like being at the Philly show again for me. So it was great. The Tokyo show I thought was good. I thought it was interesting. Some of the songs they pulled out, like "Talk to Me," I thought that was okay. I thought it was a pretty good set. It just seems odd to me with Ace and Eric. Something just sounded weird to me with that. I don't know why. It just seemed a little odd. Then you get to the Virginia Beach show, and that was the one where I made the most bullet points on.
Oh goodness! Wow.
And it depends on where you're listening to this album sometimes, because when I was listening to it on my headphones, cranking it up and actually having earplugs just to make sure I'm not blowing my ears out, something just sounded muffled. The mix didn't sound good. Like I wasn't hearing enough cymbals and hi-hats, or if the guitar solo is going, I'm like, where's Paul's rhythm guitar? It seemed stuff was really muted, but then you have Gene's bass, which is like, just barreling out there. It's like he's hitting away on that thing like he's Mark Mendoza from Twisted Sister or something. He's just like, just banging on the thing. And, it's almost a little too pronounced in my opinion. But the Virginia Beach show, yeah, it's great that they pulled all these deeper cuts out, but Paul, no wonder your voice is screwed up. You're yelling too much in between songs all the time. Stop that. But
yeah,
that was my feeling. I was, it's like I got the tears are falling on that one. And I'm just like, yeah, tears were falling in that audience because this sounded awful. They were crying because they were begging Paul to please stop singing. That was how bad it sounded. I thought it was great that Demon got to sing Unholy at Virginia Beach, which I thought, from Revenge, which I thought, wow, that was really cool. But
yeah, that sounded okay, I think. It was all right.
But see, here's the sad thing, and you guys alluded to this. Gene knows the limitations of his voice. Even in 1992, when I saw him on the Revenge tour, Gene doesn't do the soaring, the banshee vocal that he does on that studio version. And so when I heard it on the Revenge tour, and he just kind of, I'm the Lord of the, I was created by man. Yeah, I'm the Lord. No, on the studio version, you wanted to hear him. Yeah, I was created by man. Yeah, I'm the Lord. Yeah, I can't even sing Gene Simmons because my voice is shot. But you wanted to hear him just with all the gusto, and he didn't do it, even in Revenge tour. And so I was disappointed with that too. But to me, the biggest glaring omission from that show is "Where's Black Diamond?"
Oh yeah, I forgot they didn't do Black Diamond.
No, Black Diamond. Nah.
Well,
That drove
yeah,
me
but
nuts.
unless Peter's singing it, I really don't have any interest in it.
Well, and I agree. I don't exactly like anybody else singing it other than Peter. But I mean, Eric Singer's done it. Eric Carr did it.
I know,
Eric Singer
but-
does it okay, but I would rather. But you still, it's not a Kiss show. Come on, that was always the traditional. It's like Iron Maiden. They always close the set with Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I got
Kiss
you.
is
Yeah.
Kiss is the same way. They usually always close the set with Black Diamond. Then they came back and did the encores. Another glaring thing to me about Virginia Beach is a lot of the songs sounded much slower to me. To me, they just sounded tired. They just didn't feel like there was any energy in that show. And that to me is like that was the one that was the most painful to listen to. But I liked Donington and I liked Tokyo, but Donington to me was the best of the three to me.
Right. I would agree with that too.
The cool thing about the Virginia Beach show and that tour was that they obviously, like, that whole tour, they omitted Black Diamond, but they started doing God Gave Rock and Roll to You again, which was really cool.
I thought that actually came off pretty well. No, John, you didn't think so? Because
I never
don't
liked that song to begin with.
Well, the only way I'm going to give it props is that Paul wasn't overly straining and he was pretty much just singing in his natural, and he sounded fine. Yeah. It's like when you listen to the Soul Station stuff. Paul sounds great on that because he's not screaming his head off. I thought God Gave Rock and Roll to You was probably one of the better things on it.
Yeah, I just was never crazy about that song. That was usually a CD skipper for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I get it. Yeah.
So
I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I got.
So since John touched on the whole thing where he would think that the Donington show is like the best, what's the general consensus with the group here?
Honestly, I think I like the Tokyo one best.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Paul probably sounded better on the Donington one, but I think the energy was overall better on that Tokyo show. And I also did like the Eric Singer was on it, even though I am a big Peter Criss fan. I thought that he brought a really good energy to that show. So it would go for me, Tokyo best, Donington second place, and then Virginia Beach third place.
Mm-hmm. I just do think that Eric's seemed to bring more to that show with Ace more than he did with that later show at Virginia Beach. Am I hearing something? It seems like he was much more present.
Oh, yeah, no,
all right.
He's probably excited to have Ace Frehley on stage.
Well, shit, if Ace is playing, that would make me psyched too.
And not to mention, like I said, you just listened to what they sounded like a year prior with Peter playing. Like, I'm not saying anybody could have gone in there and made them sound good, but like Eric is just he's always been such like a bombastic drummer. He's on like that same level as, for me, as like Eric Carr, but he's a much cleaner drummer than Eric Carr. And he gave he gives them that kick in the ass.
Well, I mean, his work with Alice Cooper is top notch. I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. He's a great percussionist.
Yeah. His work on Seven Stars, like my favorite thing about that Black Sabbath record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that the way that they opened Tokyo too with Detroit Rock City was really cool.
Oh, look at John pulling out the Badlands CD.
Yeah, I thought opening with Detroit Rock City on Tokyo was really cool. You know, you had the whole announcement at the beginning and stuff. It got me really excited for what was going to come. And then, you know, the riff kicks off. And honestly, the music sounded really good on that. I think it was the best opener of the three because I thought Deuce was good on Donington, but I will say that Gene did sound really rough on that album. Rougher than he did on the other two. I thought he actually sounded good at Virginia Beach. Like, he was really delivering on those performances. But at Donington, yeah, he sounded a little rough. While he still did a good job, he had a cool, like, aggressive, growly type of voice to his sound. So it wasn't awful, but it was just, I don't know. I thought that Detroit Rock City was really great on Tokyo, and you had Talk to Me, which we briefed on, which I thought was a really good version of that. The version of Deuce on Tokyo is fantastic. I don't know. I thought that this one overall was probably my favorite of the bunch. Although there was tracks on all of them that sounded good on all three. We'll probably talk about that with another question. I'm not going to get too far ahead.
Well, you're kind of already going into it, what tracks you like and stuff. We can go around and just keep that discussion going.
Well, I thought that...
I actually have a quick question.
Go
or
ahead.
Comment. Was it me, or sometimes did it just sound weird for Ace to be doing 80s Kiss song?
Oh yeah, I always felt like that. Like I hated that they during the Psycho Circus farewell tour that they started doing Heaven's on Fire, and even Lick It Up. Like Lick It Up, I'm just gonna say it. It's the worst. Like I hate that song.
I couldn't stand Lick It Up.
And if I know my father feels the same way. Like if I didn't have to hear another Kiss song for the rest of my life, it'd be Lick It Up. But I just never liked that they started doing non-Peter, Chris, Ace Frehley, like non-makeup stuff during the Psycho Circus farewell tour.
I mean, let's face it. Those three songs would be the easiest for Ace to have pulled off.
Yeah.
And do, because there's really no guitar work to any of those songs. Yeah. So I could see it, but it just sounded weird to me.
I'm just going to say Lick It Up off here is just absolutely... ouch. But I think it's kind of fun to hear Ace play it. I mean, he probably doesn't care. It's probably kind of refreshing for him to just play something he's normally not on.
Just seems
I don't know. Well, I know, but it's different.
I honestly couldn't get past Paul on that song on any of the versions. I'm going to be completely honest. But we were talking about tracks, though. Like I said, I thought that across the board, Firehouse sounded really good.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that song, too. I mean, that was the first song I learned on the bass. I mean, Gene Simmons is basically the reason why I picked up a bass after I'd already been playing guitar for so long.
Wow, cool. That's nice to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I thought Calling Dr. Love sounded really solid on all three.
I agree 100%. I think Calling Dr. Love was great.
I loved it, actually. I thought God of Thunder sounded pretty cool. Even though his Gene's voice was rough on Donington, I still thought that version was awesome. It was so heavy. So I thought that was cool across the board. Cold Gin was pretty good on all three versions.
Well, I like the Donington one where Ace comes in and sings a verse.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that he did that anyway. When I saw him live, he did it, but I always like it. Since he wrote the track, it's always, it's a crowd pleaser for one, because everybody wants to hear Ace sing on it. You know, it's great.
Yeah. I thought King of the Nighttime World sounded really good on all the albums. That was actually really, really fun, and I love that song. It's one of my favorite tracks off of A Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it sounds even better live than it did on the album, honestly. Let me see here. What else? Oh gosh, I thought that the version of I Want You was awful on what was that? Virginia Beach?
Yeah.
Gosh, that was horrible. Because I love that song so much, and when they did that version, it killed me. Christine 16 sounded really good actually on all of them, even though I'm not really a huge fan of that song. I thought that the versions on here at least sounded really good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate the version of Tears Are Falling. I thought that was probably Paul's best vocal performance on Virginia Beach. Not saying much, but I thought it was one of the...
I don't know. Bret might disagree with that.
John too.
And John.
Yeah. I remember they did Tears Are Falling when I saw them on the End of the Road tour, and that's just stop. Just stop doing it, please. Stop doing anything from the 80s.
It was bad, but it was better than some of his other performances on here. That was all my point was on that.
I'd rather listen to Tears Are Falling than Love Gun.
Yeah, the Love Gun was horrendous.
I will say that.
Yeah. I thought that the versions of She were fantastic. Especially that one on Virginia Beach. That was such a heavy version of that song. It was really jammy. I really dug that. I'd say those were probably... Oh, War Machine was really cool.
I think War Machine on most, I think, is fabulous.
Oh, that was really, really good, actually.
Heavy, I think it's great.
Another one of the worst ones that were on these was I Still Love You. I thought that was terrible. Oh, my gosh. Those would be some of the ones that I'd say were standouts. Along with Love Gun, Lick It Up, awful. What else?
Star, how's it going? Thanks for showing up.
Hi, Mom.
She's probably going through the vault right now.
I think that's about where I'm going to leave it with the tracks. For me, those were the ones that really stood out. I mean, like I said, these are about 2 hours a piece.
Right.
So there's a lot to try to deconstruct, but those ones there were either the ones that I really liked or the ones that I really hated. And I'll have to say that anything that Gene was singing on, I generally liked on any of these. And I wish that he was just singing.
For the most part, I agree. Even though in Donington he's very rough. And I'm going to say, well, Tokyo he's rough too. He didn't sound much different to me than he did on Donington. But
he just makes it worse. Because he's never been like a great singer.
No.
I mean, that's not what his shtick is. It's getting more of a feeling across, getting this kind of like larger than life comic book feeling. He's never been about being a good vocalist. Paul, at one point, was a really good vocalist. And then at this point, he thinks he still is, but he's just not because his voice is deteriorated. And I think that's what's so frustrating about a lot of these versions and a lot of his banter. Like whenever he's trying to like
the banter, gee, many Christmas.
High-pitched voice and he's singing the titles of the songs. It's Psycho. It's so bad. Like
Star, I'm going to throw out a question to Star. Star, what you've obviously heard these. What do you think of Paul's banter during, jeez.
I almost wanted to do a
Virginia Beach. I mean, you've seen them a lot of times. I'm just curious. You can type it in the comment, but I really am curious what you think of all that.
I almost wanted to have a stopwatch and record how much banter he does in between songs.
A lot.
And see how much of it takes up the show. So
yeah.
If you go on to SoundCloud, there is a 45-minute album of it's a whole compilation of Paul stage banter, and it's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
I mean, I think it was okay back in 1977, but when you get to the later stuff, he's so hoarse.
Listen to...
I mean, I love Paul. I don't want to come off that I'm dogging Paul, but, you get to a certain point that, it's really...
No. Yeah, and, like, you get to a stage banter in the 80s, much talking people,
right.
You get to a stage banter in the 80s, and it's, like, unnecessarily vulgar, which is just... It just made...
Well, I noticed on here we were using the F word, and I'm going, what?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
He did that in Philly, so...
Yeah, I think one of my favorites was when he just started shouting, "Tomo arigato!" We don't know much Japanese, but you're in our hearts.
Holy crap, we've got April Wine, the band here.
Wow.
I can't stand Juggalos. Okay.
I thought that was, he's talking about the...
Yeah, he's talking about ICP.
Oh, come on there, April Wine. Come on, man.
Wow.
But yeah, the stage banter is what killed me.
Yeah. Well, I just want to throw this out there.
Go ahead.
This is the show I saw them on Revenge. All right. It's called it was the First Taste of Revenge. It's a bootleg I found years and years ago.
We
And I was
needed you. We needed you on the bootleg show, John, for crying out loud.
Well, this is like the only one I have.
Well,
But,
I only have one too.
It's only because I was actually at this show, and I wanted to see and I need to listen through this again. And but Tears Are Falling is on this, so I would be curious to hear what it sounded like then. But to me, one of the funniest stories from 1992 that I could tell you, they did a song from Revenge called "I Just Wanna." It's like it was the third track on the set, and you hear Paul singing this track, and the entire track, I think he's like a half step off from the rest of the band musically, and it's just like I remembered that at the show, and I thought, ugh, that's not good. And then when I found this and I popped it in the VCR and I listened to it again, I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't a mistake. No, I wasn't hearing things. It was that way.
Yeah.
And granted, first night of the show, so a tour, so I'm hoping that by the time Alive 3 came out, it was a little different, which I think it was. But I mean, yeah.
Well, that was also because Alive 3 was so heavily edited.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course.
But I will say this: Gene sounded great that night on this. He sounded really good. I don't think I had any qualms with him on this show. Yeah, except for maybe Unholy doing the higher vocal range. But anyway, I don't mean to get us off on a totally different.
No,
tangent.
you're fine. We're just yapping.
But to me, it was hard. It's hard for me to pick favorite tracks from the other shows because to me, the Donington show was so much like the one I saw in Philly, and I loved that entire show. So for me, it would be hard for me to pick something from because I really struggled with the Virginia Beach show, and if I could find something good out of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there has to be something good out of it.
The War.
I mean, there's not much good out of it. It's not like the Tokyo show. It's easy to pick.
War Machine was definitely one of the better ones.
Right.
During Psycho Circus, Put Your Paws in the Air. Really?
Like you don't care?
I mean, I know he was saying the whole thing about animals, but put your paws in the air. He had to keep going with that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm good. That's all I got. That's all I got for it.
That's good. That's fair enough. Well, but this is kind of what we've already talked to some degree. Oh, what Star's got something. And Unholy to me is one of the heaviest non-makeup Kiss Gene songs.
Oh,
I actually like that song quite a bit.
Yeah, so I would also sings it, and it's.
I think they pulled that off well.
I would include Hate there too. I would love to see the Demon singing Hate.
Yeah. From
Carnival of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Mm-hmm. But we're never going to see it, so.
Well, you never know if they keep releasing stuff like they are, but
yeah, but they've never played any of the Carnival of Souls stuff live as a band, so that's never going to happen.
Well, see, at that point, I'd given up on them. So
yeah,
I've bought these just for curiosity. Well, I like it. Don't get me wrong, I like it, but I mean, I was hardcore. Everything up to the Elder, I'm good. So pretty much I guess we've kind of talked about the highs and lows. We know the banter's horrible. Paul's voice, as we continue throughout the whole timeline, it gets worse. Gene pretty much is still maintaining what he has.
Mm-hmm. Because Gene knows what he has. Paul
I
doesn't.
wish that Eric Singer kept that energy up with those later shows that he had back, during those Ace Frehley shows. It is quite different. But the thing is, I do miss that swing from Peter Criss from Donington. There's something about the core band and that chemistry. There is something about it. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame because, you know, not Eric Singer, but Tommy Thayer is a great guitar player. But I mean, would you almost rather see him play his own solos as opposed to mimicking Ace Frehley solos and not sounding like Ace Frehley? I'm just throwing that out. This wasn't something I even thought about, but
I think that's why so many people had a problem with him when they first brought him on board, was because they were just, you know, it's like they weren't even. It's weird because I remember like that first real tour they did with him, like they didn't even say his name. They were just like, you know, I don't even know if they would. I don't know what they would say, but they didn't really like acknowledge that he wasn't Ace, which was very weird. Obviously, fans knew, but I think that's. I would much rather see him do his own solos. Obviously, like the solo that you do after She, or, you know, Shock Me, like those are iconic, but, you know, just.
I mean, Bruce never mimicked Ace, did he? Not that I remember. He just did what he did.
He played enough of the main solo, but he was able to put his own little spin to it.
See, that's what I would like to. That's what I'd like to see.
Keep enough of the integrity of the original solos.
Yeah.
So
I think that's part of why I don't even bother with any of Kiss's more recent albums. Like, I listened to them when they first came out. There's just no originality to them anymore. It's just the same. They're just trying to be 70s Kiss again, basically. And it's just so boring.
They're playing to the audience.
Yeah, but it's boring. So I don't have time for it. But
ouch. Man. Ryan's harsh on this one.
I really love 70s Kiss and early 80s Kiss, but they just kind of rubbed me the wrong way in a lot of ways after that. I do like Carnival of Souls. I thought that was a really good album. Revenge was decent. But I could care less. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I do have a question for Bret, though. With your you've heard a lot of different bootlegs to some degree. Were there any shows that you would like to see possibly released in this series that you know, I'm just curious. Too bad we don't have Marco here, because Marco he'd probably already have a list ready, and, you know.
Yeah. Like I would love to hear, like, there are a bunch of other stuff from the 96 tour that I've seen. Like I've seen videos of, I've heard bootlegs of, that I wish they would have done instead. Like, any of the 5 shows they did at Madison Square Garden, I think would have been massive.
I do have one of those on videotape.
Yeah. What else? Anything from the Dynasty tour, I think that would be pretty cool. The Dynasty tour.
Yeah, Marco had like 4 or 5 shows from that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come out. I don't know, but I was noticing the. Do I have that data? I was looking at the charts, and crap, I don't have it. The first one that came out, I guess that was the Tokyo show.
Yeah,
it got to 192 on the charts, but I don't see that any of the other ones even charted. I don't know if that's a good sign, because, you know, Kiss is going to look at this and go, well, if we're not selling any of this, they probably won't do it. But I don't. Yeah. What do I know?
Yeah, but you know, it's like they know that the hardcore diehard fans are going to spend their money on it. You know, whether they're getting the 4 LP set or they're getting the the
Spotify
CDs.
download.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question before, if there's if there's one other tour, I would be happy with anything from the non-makeup era. Obviously, like during the 80s, but Unmasked. Anything from the, like, they have that one show from Sydney that's a part of, I think, Kissology 2 that was really cool. I would love to see if they had, like, anything else from that tour.
Yeah, I'd love to see Unmasked. That would be great. I bet it's in the pipeline, but, you know, who knows? I'm surprised they're going to 1977. It's almost like, well, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what they release. I think it's fascinating. I mean, I've bought 3 of them so far, so I guess I'm in.
And the upcoming one's from 77, right?
What's that?
Yes.
That's from
Davenport, I think. Yeah,
Okay, so that's the Rock and Roll Over
Love Gun.
Love Gun tour. Okay.
Probably Love Gun
I'm
tour.
excited for that.
Yeah, well, I'll get that for sure.
Actually.
Yeah, but also at the
At
same
least
time, it's like
I think, yeah.
I feel like there's already so much from that era that you could just like readily get, whether it's any of the performances on the Kissology box sets or just any of the bootlegs online. I'm curious to see if there's like anything special about these that would kind of make them stand out from what we already have access to.
I don't know. I wonder if this is like a response to everything that is online. Do you think this is why they're putting this stuff out all of a sudden, or they're just trying to make a buck? Well, obviously they're trying to make a buck, but is it a reaction because there's so much out there on the internet? Pirate Bay, you know what I'm talking about. It's just
I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. That this is their response to everything that's available out there already. But
you guys say column B. Well, it's like the Beach Boys. Back in, the early 2000s, they had this Sea of Tune box sets, which were absolutely stunning. And then they started releasing all this stuff from the vaults. They don't want they don't want bootleggers to make money off of it, and I get it. Oh, Star, Gene wants his money. Star, you know Gene really well.
And we brought it up last week. Oh,
what happened?
Ryan had to leave.
Ryan had to leave. Yeah.
It's 7:55. I wasn't even paying attention.
I know we brought it up last week, but I think because they're not doing any more Kissology box set DVDs, I think kind of this is their not response, but this is kind of like, okay, well, we're not going to do this, but we'll do this instead because this is easier and it's not going to cost us as much because they already have access to all this stuff.
I agree 100%. So I'm just curious. So we already got a rating. What would you, Ryan already kind of talked about his rating, but
yeah.
So John, you think that the Donington one's the best?
For me, yes.
Yeah, I would say that's the same for me. And Bret, you think the
for me it would be
Tokyo?
It would be Ryan. What Ryan said, it would be Tokyo, Donington, Virginia Beach.
I do like the Tokyo one for the fact that you've got Ace playing with, Eric, and not Eric, but Eric Singer.
Yeah.
It's just a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Though Ace pretty much sounds like Ace, I'll just give him that.
And then it's funny because then you fast forward 2 years later and you have Tommy playing with Peter.
Yeah, I hope something of that comes out.
Yeah. Well, the closest we have to that is
the
symphony.
Oh.
The symphony is
Star.
I'm sorry.
Star's with me on this. Yeah, but the symphony, the Australian thing, right?
Yeah.
But,
and then when they toured the States with that, it was when they toured the States with that, it was when they toured with Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think we've really talked about it. This has been an unbelievable discussion, but I hate to even ask John this, but would you recommend this to somebody or you think this is something only for the hardcore fans?
Honestly, I think, I don't know if I would call myself a hardcore fan. Maybe as a kid, I would have said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when I heard about these, I really wasn't interested in wanting to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I knew how bad Paul was sounding, and it just seemed like a cash grab. So I just didn't. Part of me really didn't kind of want to hear them and get them.
Right.
I downloaded them on Spotify so I could kind of start doing this, and then, so that's where I got started with them. But I don't know.
I'm going to say that's a no.
Yeah, I don't think. I think I was talking to a couple of people about this and asking them what they heard about it, or if they heard them, and they said no. And I was like, well, this is what I've been hearing. And then they were like, yeah, you're not selling me too well on this. So I'm like, well, yeah, but this is me saying what I remember in 1996, and I
Hey,
saw
it's
for me, I saw my childhood heroes finally on stage, and that they could have done no wrong for me. So
well, I have to agree. 96. Like I said, I saw him in 98, and it was like an outer body experience because where I was sitting and the sound that came through the system, you close your eyes. I mean, it's that chemistry. It's those four together, and as we know, that's magic. Now you can have Tommy on there playing guitar, and he can mimic it, but there's something that's missing. There's magic. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, '98 was great.
one of the notes I think I wrote down for Virginia Beach is that I think where did I say it? Somewhere I wrote down here. For She. I thought, oh, great, they're pulling a good one out of the archives. But the way it was sounding, I just didn't feel like Tommy and Eric helped that song. To me, it just something was off about that. I just didn't. To me, it didn't seem like Eric and Tommy helped a lot, in my opinion. So, yeah.
I think the issue with by the time Tommy and Eric came into the fold and they were that four piece, those core members. I think it got to a point where they were like, we don't. How do I word this? Like they didn't want them to be who they are as players. They're like, we want you to sound like Ace. We want you to sound like Peter. And I feel like that took away from their performance and their ability because you had these two great players. Like Tommy's a great guitarist. You just listen to anything, listen to Black and Blue. And obviously we don't need to talk about how great of a drummer Eric is, but it got to a point where they were like, we want you to kind of be clones. We don't want you to be your own players. And I could definitely agree with John when he says it, like it definitely, it doesn't add anything. I don't say it necessarily takes away from the performance, but it doesn't necessarily add anything.
Yeah, it's a story of two different, like with Tommy and Peter, or Eric and Peter, it's two different drummers.
Yeah.
You're not going to get you're not going to get Peter's feel from Eric, and you're not going to get Eric's feel from Peter. Just same way with Ace and Tommy. Tommy's just going to be pretty much an Ace mimic, and you're still not going to get the Ace feel. So.
Well, I've always said, though, I don't know if it's right, but I always felt that Ace Frehley really brought the tonality of the instrumentation to Kiss.
I think so.
With his unique tonality. I mean, anytime you hear him, he's instantly recognizable. And, all the great guitar players, it doesn't matter really how great they are technically, but if they have a magic tonality that you can hear them. You listen to Rick Nielsen, it's Rick Nielsen. You listen to Jeff Beck. Holy crap, it's Jeff Beck. Jimmy Page, it's Jimmy. Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm just saying, Ace might not be like the most technical player, but he's got that magic tonality that you can always pull him out. Yep. With him not in the band, they become a lot more generic because Tommy Thayer, he's a good player.
Yeah.
It's like Ronnie Montrose. Ronnie Montrose is a great guitar player, but he could have been anybody. And Tommy's a great player, but he doesn't have his own tonality. And that's not taking anything away from him. I mean, he can mimic Ace, but I mean, there's it's a certain magic. That's all I'm going to say.
It makes the performance sound flat, and there's no perfect example of like you watching the New Year's Eve show that they did a couple years ago. Like it sounds so flat because it just sounds like there's no enthusiasm coming from Tommy or Eric.
Well, they're told to play a certain way. They can't be themselves. Yeah. And I totally agree. I think it'd be much stronger if they let them be themselves. And the fans, I think, would accept it more. I mean, what do I know? I'm just some guy. But I would much rather see them bring their personality to it. That's all.
I would like to know what people have experienced watching Kiss since the 2004 show. Because they've still been touring, and I'm just like, okay, somebody tell me what did you think of that show? whatever you went to, whether it was
Right.
2018, whether it was 2000, whatever. What did you think? Did it sound anything better than this? I haven't got any answers yet, but
I never. You know what it's like? I feel like seeing them, you're just kind of just caught up in the whole spectacle of it that you don't really think about that. And then you go back, like I remember seeing them at the Garden in 2010 or whatever it was on the Alive 35 Sonic Boom tour, and thinking like, oh my God, this is so great. And then like going back and listening to the show, and you're like, oh, that didn't sound good. Like that sounded kind of flat. But you don't. It's something you don't, unless you're paying attention to it, you don't recognize it or realize it.
Plus, you're listening through it through the system. And you're in there with all the people, and you're feeling the energy, and everybody's soaking the energy off of everyone else.
Yeah.
You're in there in the moment, and plus, you're going through the damn PA, But boy, oh boy, when you get to this and you really hear the tracks, then you're going, oh my.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can Star said, I can tell you some were great and others made you feel like it's time to end it.
Yeah. And they're definitely at that point, unfortunately, but they're going to continue going.
Well, the thing is, I would like to see them more like on the Kiss cruise, where there's not so much pressure and everybody can relax and they can just play tracks from Unmasked or anything that the people want. That, I think, at this point in their career, of course, I'm sure that's where they're going. I would get way more out of that than going like on a stadium tour and seeing them play. I'd much more like that intimate type of
when I went on the cruise, like obviously the live show that they did was great because you're seeing them in like a very small venue on the boat, which is like the size of like a high school auditorium. But my favorite part of it was the sail away show that they did as the boat set sail. It's no makeup, it's acoustic. They're essentially doing like, Kiss Unplugged, but they're
I would love that.
They're breaking out some, obscure stuff. Like I think they did A World Without Heroes when I saw.
Oh my God, I'm all down for that.
They play all this, and pull a few out of the bag. Yeah, and I think that's the issue that a lot of the hardcore fans have, is that that if you see them now, and if you see them in 2 years, obviously, you're going to hear the same songs. They're not going to do anything. It's and unfortunately, a lot of bands, a lot of legacy acts are at that point. I would love to go see them and hear them do stuff off of Dynasty and Unmasked and Creatures of the Night, but it's like right. I know I'm going to go there and I'm going to hear them play Lick It Up and T-Shirt City and Love Gun and Deuce.
They're
Firehouse.
playing for the masses.
Yeah,
I get it. That's what everybody does.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like, let's what would be the ultimate Kiss album to hear in its entirety, with the exception of Alive or Alive 2. What would you want to see done live in the whole thing in its entirety?
That's
and
tough.
You can't even say the first album because they do so much of the first album.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I'd love to see The Elder in its entirety, but I know that's never going to happen.
Yeah, that's not.
But it's like, okay, but let's look at other albums. What about Dress to Kill?
Okay,
that could be a good one. It's a short album, so it's nothing.
Hotter Than Hell, my favorite record.
Yeah,
Hotter Than Hell could be good. Let's pull Rock and Roll Over out. I'm sure there's some folks out there would love to hear Mr. Speed done live.
But Star, you're right. The masses aren't going to pay a load of money to go on a Kiss cruise. That's just for hardcore fans.
Yeah, because the hardcore fans are going to want to. That's when they pull out songs like what the one year they did
Oh my God, I would just love to hear them do that.
They did that. And I think one year they did The Oath, which actually didn't sound bad. It sounded
I'm telling you, people rag on The Elder, but man,
I love
the
Elder.
songs on that record are strong. The Gene stuff on there. Now it sounds like the Contrarian episodes we were on.
Yeah.
But the Gene stuff on there,
Under
fabulous.
The Rose is awesome.
Do you guys want to hear the set list that they did for that Sail Away show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming Home, Blaster Caster, Hard Luck Woman, Love Her All I Can, Going Blind, Main Line with Eric on vocals.
That's fine.
Flaming Youth, All the Way, Come On and Love Me, See You Tonight, Then they did Domino, and they brought Bruce out. They did Hide Your Heart with Bruce. Then they brought out Ace, and they did 2000 Man with Ace, Tommy, and Eric on guitar.
Yeah, that's cool, though. You have to admit, that's cool.
New York
that is
Groove,
cool.
Nothing to Lose, and then Rock and Roll All Night. Like that was the set list for that Sail Away show, and it's just like
I don't have a problem with that.
I would much rather hear that.
I think that's a good set list.
Absolutely, it is. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they just couldn't go out on tour and pull something off like that. Well, you'd have to have Ace do 2000 Man. You might have to pull that track off, but you could replace it with something. But you could come up with something that's similar.
Yeah.
Charisma.
That's a great Charisma. Well, why not?
Yeah.
I think that would be so fun. I mean, hell, just do the whole. Could you imagine if they just did Dynasty as a whole?
Well, again, you have to bring Ace and Peter for it, but because Ace's songs are the best.
Well, it's not like
Ace will play if you show him some money.
Yeah, and it's not like Peter played in the album anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
True.
Hell, bring Anton Fig out for that.
Yeah.
Why are you shaking your head?
It's just like all the stuff that I wish I could have seen, and I think not to, no pun intended, using the cruise here, but I think those ships have long since sailed.
Yeah.
So I can fantasize and dream about all these great things I'd love to have seen the band do, but I'm never going to see it in my lifetime.
Right.
And with the end of the tour, the end of the road tour coming next year, supposedly, then I
Yeah, well, Gene just said they wanted to add like another 100 shows.
Paul will be totally ragged. He'll have nodes on his vocal cords. He'll just be in shambles.
He's already there.
I know. He was already there here.
Yeah, almost 20 years ago.
Almost 20 years ago. I'm just surprised. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Sail Away shows are the best. It's all unplugged. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got an original pressing of the Unplugged on vinyl. I should have pulled it. I'm not going to tell you how much I bought it for. But
I had some CDs where they were bootleg from those Kiss conventions they did in the 90s. And they were like, it was like they had a certain set, but then they'd be calling out to the audience and they would say, do blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you'd start hearing Paul try to sing Just a Boy or something, or there was a couple of others they tried. The audience was kind of really digging a little bit of it, but
the funny thing about those shows is that like Eric and Bruce would know the songs, and then Peter and Gene and Paul would have no idea.
They were prepared for pretty much everything, but not so much for Gene and Paul so much. But
wow. I don't know.
Got nothing.
Well, I'm just going to say, unless you're a hardcore fan, I would just stick with Alive 2, Alive 3. I mean, if you're hardcore, they were there for Unplugged.
Yeah.
It's cemented in my brain forever. Well, yeah. But I do like these. I'm really looking forward to the next one from 77, just for the fact, and I'm not promoting bootlegs or anything, but
don't worry,
just to hear them raw from 77. I know there have been boots out there of them with like the whole live show, before they did overdubs and stuff. I try to avoid all that stuff, but I'll be interested to hear that 77 show when it comes out in September.
Yeah, me too.
It might be great. I think, me personally, I like that they're doing it, and I'm applauding them. I'm applauding Kiss for the fact that they are putting things out, warts and all. Because, everything's like man behind the mirror with that band, and I will applaud them for putting stuff out. Because, like I said, there are fans that want it. I mean, I've got 3 of them. I guess I'm in at this point. But
I almost want to say we've heard a couple of those Davenport shows songs. If you got that, you wanted the best, you got the best album that came out. It was like a bunch of crazy live tracks, and then there was like a long interview with Jay Leno or something like that.
right.
I want to say some of those songs were on that, but that's I'm really digging deep in my memory bank for that one, and that's a struggle.
Those live songs at the beginning, like Room Service, Two Timer, Let Me Know, those were all recorded in '96.
Okay.
And then they have some live stuff from, because I'm looking at the set list right now. The other live stuff is from either Alive, and then they have stuff from the Forum in '77.
Okay, I couldn't remember exactly, but yeah.
Yeah. It was released.
You rock, Star. You rock.
We need Star in every damn discussion. I mean, I just love her. Bret, you're a lucky man. She's just fun as hell. But I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay. Bret, do you have anything else to throw in? Does anybody go ahead.
Honestly, if somebody did come up to me and was like, out of the three, I know, like, both you and John had said that to not bother with them. Personally, if somebody had asked me, I would probably have them be like, just listen to the Tokyo Show.
Okay.
I feel that that's the cleanest of the three. Yeah, I would say at least the Tokyo Show. Give that a listen to.
Yeah. Of course, I'm much more of a purist, and I'm like John, I'd rather have 96, but it's fine.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about it.
Right.
I mean, if you're listen to it, if you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say any of these are terrible. They're live shows. By listening to this, you see why they went and fixed Alive and Alive 2. I'm just going to put it there. But it's great just to hear them raw. I'm just going to throw it out there. Pick and choose the ones you want.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is I don't know how long these are going to be out either. But, once they'll probably be on the internet somewhere.
Oh, yeah, they're already on Spotify or any of the streaming services that you use.
Yeah. So is anybody, before we wind this dog up, anybody have anything? I already promoted at the beginning. Do you guys have anything coming up, Brad, on the Contrarians or anything?
No. It's been a while since I've been on. I'm hoping to jump back on soon.
Yeah. Well, we need you.
Yeah.
And I know I promoted this up front, but Bret and Marco and I did that Kiss bootleg show, and that's up on my channel. Check it out. It was a lot of fun. And Martin Popoff showed up, and he hijacked the whole episode. So if you're Martin Popoff aficionado, you need to go watch it, for crying out loud, because Martin was on a roll.
He was trolling us straight up.
Straight up trolling us. In fact, it got to the point where I think Bret said, well, we need to have another episode where we answer your questions. Because it was just crazy. He was like this, rapid fire. I'm going, oh my God, there he is, another question. Show was so much fun. My first Kiss show was on, no. You were Kiss Alive 1 tour? Holy mackerel. Wow, what can I say about that?
I don't even think I knew that.
I dream of having seen Kiss in this little theater in this town that I grew up in Pennsylvania. It was a little town called Northampton. Mm-hmm. And we had a movie theater. It was called the Roxy Theater. And in the 70s, they brought bands and stuff in. Well, on touring their first album, and maybe Hotter Than Hell was about to come out, they played this little theater.
Wow.
I was like 4 years old, so obviously I didn't get to go, but I have actually found a YouTube video of it, and I was actually able to listen to the show, and it was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. I wish I could have been able to have been to that show.
I'm sure I can find it somewhere in here.
But
Star, she's a hoot.
Oh my!
We couldn't have done this show without you.
Thank you, Star.
Thanks for showing up.
Thanks, Mom.
Well, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I think we covered it.
We covered it.
This was a lot of fun. Please subscribe, click the button, ring the bell. I never asked that, but we've got tons of more great content. I'm sure we'll probably do more KISS stuff if you're into that. We are all in the KISS Army, even John Clauser. He's a member of the KISS Army. But there'll be more to come. You never know. And if you have any comments or anything you want us to cover, put it in the comments, for crying out loud. We're always looking for stuff to do. So I just want to say thanks to Ryan Gavalier, Brett Peters, and John Clauser for showing. This was a blast. I'm going to end this and then just hang on and don't get off. So I just say goodnight, everybody. Thanks for coming on. Star, you have a good night.
You rock, Star.
Until the next KISS show, we will talk to you later. So good night, everybody.